We'll start with Frank Wilson and then go to Ryan Shumpert.
What did you learn about some of your starting pitchers that hadn't had as many opportunities like Mark today, and how encouraging is that to move forward with a weekend like this without Chad and Jackson throwing?
Yeah, it's real encouraging with Mark's case in particular. I mean, with Will, we've always known him to be a mature competitor. He's got good enough stuff to get guys out. He has started in about as any situation you can imagine. But Mark, it's kind of new territory on the weekend for him, and he handled it like a champ. So it provides you another option in both cases, but also in particular with Mark, he continues to reaffirm that regardless of when you put him out there, he's done well in games. I mean, sometimes scrimmages don't relate to games, and our guys have handled the bat against them okay. It's not like they've hammered him or anything, but in games, he's done very, very well as long as he throws strikes.
What went into the decision to start him today, and how big of an advocate for him has Frank Anderson been throughout the past few months?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm a firm believer that every player should have somebody in the office that's waving the pom-poms for them a little bit, or defending them, or supporting them. Not like we don't all like Mark, but I think Frank is the most in his corner. So that was step one. Step two, and I'm just being really honest with you, is we got the guy hot a couple times and didn't use him. And that's part of being a college pitcher. This isn't Major League Baseball where when you get hot, you almost always go in the game, and it's much more structured. This is organized chaos, and we need as many wins as we can possibly get. So does every other college team. So that's cost of doing business, but we felt like he's a good enough pitcher that had been sitting there a couple times that he should get an opportunity to show what he can do.
Two straight strong performances from Elijah coming out of the bullpen. Do you think it has anything to do with that? Or if not, what do you contribute his solid play to?
You know, I think he's settled in a little bit just in general. He's such a passionate kid about this place, our program, his personal performance. And I think he's doing well now because he just kind of settled in a little bit, but also his hard work is paying off. He's probably matched anybody in the building that you can come up with work ethic wise this year. So he deserves whatever he has coming home. But yeah, I think the more he simplifies things and just kind of is the aggressor, the better he does. And, you know, sometimes all these guys can overcomplicate things or think about things too much. And maybe coming out of the bullpen has made that a little more simple for him.
We'll go to Ben or Troy next, and then Ben.
Tony, with the resume that Georgia State has kind of accumulated through the first few weeks of the season, how much confidence does it give the guys to sweep them the way that they did?
You know, I think the manner in which they did it, which, again, the way they did it today was against a guy who was a freshman All-American last year. Treadway, you know, closed out the game against Vanderbilt. I believe he beat West Virginia on the mound, earned those accolades last year. So they made him look to be not as good as he is in the first couple innings with a really good approach. And it's not like we absolutely hammered the guy, but again, I think our guy's approach was impressive against him in particular. So for day three to go to the way it did, when Sundays are usually, you know, one team's up, then another team comes back. It's usually back and forth on Sundays. To do it in fairly convincing fashion and do it when they started one of their better arms, it breeds confidence amongst everybody in the building.
Tony, similar question. You talked before the season about going to Georgia State and you're either going to get a dose of humble pie or you're going to rack up some wins. Now that you've kind of got 3 weekends of good wins over good programs, how would you assess where your team is right now with 1 weekend left before conference play?
You know, slowly gathering some steam as it relates to finding out who they are. I think we're starting to play a little better too. So you could take that phrase and you know, put it into that box. But I think more of starting to find out who we are. I mean, again, scrimmages are different than games. And once you get the season actually rolling, you can start to pinpoint roles, who belongs in the lineup, who can perform in certain situations. And we're just accumulating repetitions against good competition where we find out more and more what we're about. And then we're not going to have all the answers once we play University of Georgia to start SEC play. But I think we'll have a lot of answers, and a lot of them will have firm information to them, or it'll be a good sample size against strong competition.
All right, we'll go to Wes next and then Gustavo.
Tony, how would you describe the weekend Jake had overall, and what is it about him that kind of, keeps him right there up in the lineup and keeps him producing a fair amount of the time?
Yeah, I mean, he's a ball player. If you were going to go just based off of early February, who was hitting the best, he wouldn't have been in the middle of the order when we went to Georgia Southern. But the one thing we know about Jake is he's played as much as anybody in our lineup. Never really seems to get sped up. He, like any other player, fails, and when he does, he's not happy with it. He wasn't happy with his last at bat, striking out, but he also doesn't get too down with it. And if he gets a game-winning RBI like he did last weekend, he celebrates with the team, but doesn't get too high that way. So he really is kind of what we have in one part of our building. The word ball player is what we're looking for, and that's what he is. And hopefully the younger guys kind of see what makes him a steady force in our lineup and defensively as well. It's just not a skill set he's bringing to the table, but it's a pretty good mindset and approach to the game.
Coach, you guys already played 13 games, only losing 2. What did you learn from your team, those past, games that you guys had? Is that what you imagined when you started the season?
Yeah, when we started the season, again, to be repetitive, the theme of good competition because of COVID, not just the programs you're playing, but also, seniors coming back, the draft being shorter. So what we knew was that we were going to get appropriate preparation for conference play. And it's been that to the max. And really what it's helped us learn is how our team will respond when we have a lead. If we'll handle a lead responsibly with how we play defense and throw strikes, and also, not get too giddy in the dugout. Are we capable of coming back in a game where we're, behind? And we've executed that a couple times and nearly executed it another. And then you can throw in things like extra innings or just tight games. So all that's been there on the table, and I hope we get some more of it before, again, that conference play starts.
We'll take a few more for Coach. We'll go back to Mike and then back to Ryan.
What do you like about Liam going lead off throughout this weekend and stepping into that role?
He did it at Central Arizona when he was in junior college and they won a national championship. So it's something he's familiar with. It's something we've gone back and forth with probably, he, Fergie, C. Scott in scrimmages. So he's done it a bunch. And the one thing you always know you're going to get is a competitive at-bat. And I think you see that good approach, even in some of the at-bats he doesn't get great results in. But, we were looking to handle the fastball the appropriate way today, and he dang sure did that right off the bat. And then, he's got as much speed as anybody on the team as well. So hopefully will lend itself to some action when he's leading the game off or, getting on base at any point, really.
Then I know you've talked about Jackson lately, but do you expect him back this season? I mean, what's his status?
Yeah, his status for now is he's gathering a second opinion because right now, the hamstring injury is something that's going to keep him out probably a minimum of 5 to 6 weeks. And he just wants to gather as much information. We've encouraged him to do so too. When it comes to a kid's future, we're not going to tell them what to do. I've helped him with some, as have the other coaches, on maybe how to approach the situation. And basically it's gather up as much information as possible, which our people have helped him do that. And then be a little patient and see how the thing heals. Everybody's body is different. So I don't think he's in any rush, nor is our medical staff, to make a season dictating decision. Yeah, he's good, or he's not going to be good for the rest of the year. I think it's more take a couple weeks, see where we're at, and then we'll assess things. But by no means will he be back in the very near future.
Said last week that it can be dangerous when juniors with talent start to calm down. Do you think that's what you saw from Jake this week? And then how far away do you feel like Max and Connor are from being in that same spot?
Yeah, no, I think Max is kind of starting to get a whiff of that as well. And, a smile on his face with a bunt hit. It's a weapon of his that he needs to use. And he looks more appropriate in the cage. He's not turning the thing into a science project. He's just being an athlete. And that whole deal of cat and mouse that went on at third base today showed you how incredible of an athlete he is. The umpire was even talking to me about it, how how crazy of a play that was with him bouncing around and eventually being safe at third base. And then for Pav, it's, you know, a matter of he's grinding. So you don't want him to settle down too much, especially at that position. He's grinding on defense and doing a great job for us behind the plate. And then when he's at the plate as a hitter, it's just a matter of him kind of relaxing a little bit and not trying to carry the load too much. And I think he will do that here sooner than later.
We'll finish with Troy.
Tony, how beneficial is a weekend like this where you find a way to score runs in so many different ways? And you mentioned not hammering a guy, but y'all did find a way to score runs this weekend.
Yeah, it means a lot. Here's the one area in which it sticks out the most is we try and convince our guys, even though they're young, they need to realize everything affects everything. So, you know, the way a Friday night game goes on can affect Saturday. By no means does it mean you're going to win or lose that game. But the fact we were able to score some runs and you know, have a little room for comfort, it really did a lot for our pitching. We were able to ride two of our starters pretty good, involve some guys different today, didn't really have to tax anybody. I repeat, you know, from before that Hundley and Redmond Walsh were used to the fullest extent last Sunday. So we needed those guys to kind of get their legs back under them. So it kind of, you know, came through in a lot of different ways, not just winning the game. And it puts us in a good position for what is a huge week because it's our last full week going into SEC play. We play an incredible team on the weekend in UNC Greensboro. Just look at the numbers. And then, you know, prior to that, you can't look past Charlotte. They're a big time program. We'll see a familiar face over there. And they'll be waiting for us to come play. And it's a great opportunity to be road Vols again and see if we kind of got that little niche for being competitive on the road with this group.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.